Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire.
Hello, Heat Seekers. It's Sunday morning. We're late, but we are here. How's everybody doing this morning? Bryce, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty well. We got a 1 o'clock game, and it's football Sunday. It's the best day of the week, so I'm always good on Sundays.
Oh man, I love Sundays during the fall. I love when my Bears are 2-0, even though both of them they tried to give it away on the last drive in the last seconds. Hopefully they'll hold that Atlanta offense a little bit today and get us to 3-0. But
that should be a fun game to watch.
It's one of them sneaky shootout possibilities just because of the way Atlanta's offense works. I mean, the Bears don't give up many touchdowns. They always give up a bunch of yards. But can the Bears score on what has been the worst defense in the NFL so far is the question. With Mitch Trubisky at the helm, you never know because Detroit's defense isn't good. And for three quarters, they shut him down. So there's a lot of fantasy production that could be scored in this game, but is it going to happen or not? It's one of them toss-ups, and when we're looking at like DraftKings, it's a sneaky game to stack for your big GPPs, but we've got some other juicy matchups on the schedule. A lot of fantasy production coming from the Dallas game again, potentially with them in Seattle, and neither of them really stopping any offenses so far. Got some real juicy fantasy pieces in that game. Running back on each side. 3 receivers on the Dallas side, and then 2 on Seattle's. Maybe a tight end in Dallas that nobody really expected to be as heavily involved as he was last week, but Dalton Schultz just exploded.
Right. 10 targets.
Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity here, and it should be a fun Sunday for sure. Arizona, Detroit, another one. If Galladay's back, that could shoot out. That Arizona team they run so fast, man, and it's hard for defenses to keep up with them. But it's definitely a potential for a fun Sunday, and especially if you play DFS and have an opportunity to build some lineups the way you want. It's a way to kind of maybe heal our wounds from all of our injured players, our Saquons that we're not going to see for the rest of the year, Cortland Sutton out for the rest of the year, Michael Thomas is out for a little bit, and CMC out for a little bit. It's some of those season-long and dynasty rosters are looking a little rough right now, losing those pieces. And how much of those guys did you have?
I had quite a few Saquons, and I was talking to you before, and I got rid of them in some leagues that I'm definitely a contender in. And then I have quite a few Michael Thomas as well. Actually, I had a lot of Michael Thomas and Saquon all on the same roster, so that definitely hurt. But Michael Thomas coming back is definitely going to be nice. Another guy, Raheem Mostert. I had all 3 of them in a couple of leagues actually. So, I found a way to patch my team up together, put a Band-Aid on it until hopefully Michael Thomas comes back soon and is even 80% of what he was last year. My rosters will look good, but yeah, the injuries definitely hit me this year harder than they probably ever have.
I think.
What about you?
I think a lot of people are saying that. I was fortunate in the sense that I only had 1 Saquon share, 0 CMC, 0 Michael Thomas, and not because I don't like those guys, but I just happen to not have those draft spots to get those guys, and I'm not the guy that's going to go out and pay for these guys after they hit that peak and get that expensive. So fortunately, I didn't have those guys, but that also means that when they are playing, I don't have those guys, and it's an unfortunate thing. Sure. So it's a catch-22. So just happened to be on the right side of the injuries so far. I have some Mostert, so hopefully he's only out for a week. But really, on the I have a decent amount of Galladay who hasn't played yet, so that's stung a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any of him.
No, I only had one Cortland Sutton share too, but we traded that straight up for Kenyon Drake in a league where we needed running back. So I think he's going to break out today. We were talking about that Detroit Arizona game. He's had two tough matchups to start. Let's see. They're saying I'm pretty hard to hear.
I can hear you fine, but
can you hear me better now? Jason over on YouTube asked Randall Cobb or Sample.
Sample, the tight end for the Bengals, right? I haven't even heard Randall Cobb's name this year, I feel like. And with Uzama out for the year, I liked how much he was targeting Sample. I wouldn't be opposed to going. I usually don't like going tight end over any sort of receiver or running back. But with Randall Cobb being the third, maybe even fourth option there, I'm going to go Sample.
All right. Yep. I'm just checking. Let me know. Make sure I'm not too loud. I swear, every system, right? We play Warzone every night. People are like, "Oh, you're too loud," and then I try to turn stuff down, and then they're like, "Oh, now these guys can't hear me, so I can't win either way." So,
right.
Yeah, let me know. Make sure it's not too loud. I want to sound good for you guys. Yeah, I'm going Sample too. Houston plays that Pittsburgh defense, and like I tell everybody, one-on-one matchups, with great receivers, like I never fade guys because they have a bad matchup, right? Like with Amari Cooper and facing off with Ramsey in week 1, like I'm not fading that matchup with Amari Cooper. But when it comes to somebody like Randall Cobb, who's not an alpha, and a team defense like Pittsburgh, like they're just good. So I will take that Sample on this one. And Philly hasn't been very good so far against tight ends, so hopefully that continues. And
they did just let up 3 touchdowns.
And Burrow does look like he's going to check down a lot. Like he's a smart rookie. He's not just he is taking shots down the field. AJ Green leads the league in air yards. That's crazy because AJ Green has also looked like he's 45. He has not looked good
every
so
time
far.
he goes up and comes down, I'm like, ooh, is he going to get back up? He always looks like he's hurt after missing.
He has not looked good so far. So it's crazy that he's leading in air yards, but he has been checking down a lot, and I think Tyler Boyd and Sample are both very good options in this game. But it could also be the game that AJ Green hits for 2 touchdowns and hurts everything. Somebody said, is Bryan Edwards going to live up to the hype today? Please. He's going to get his opportunities, but it's another tough matchup against a good secondary. But the question is, how are they going to defend Waller? And is that going to make it easier for Bryan Edwards? But at the same time, we're talking about rookie wide receivers, and I don't ever expect them to live up to the hype this early in their careers. I think Bryan Edwards is going to be a very good player, but I don't know that I'd be counting on him today. But the opportunity should be there. He should see targets. They just don't have anybody alive at wide receiver right now. So,
yeah, like Nelson Aguilar might be their best active receiver today.
Fucking oh God, I got trolled by the Raiders. I hope they just get their asses kicked because they trolled me hard in that showdown site.
I think Josh Jacobs is in for a good. Our run defense is still bad. I'm worried about Josh Jacobs absolutely annihilating us. And I think John Gruden is finally getting his team together. I think I spoke about it on the Wednesday redraft stream, and the Raiders are looking actually a lot better than I think most people thought. So I'm worried about Josh Jacobs running all over the Patriots today. So we'll see.
I definitely don't mind Jacobs today. I don't know. I think the Raiders hype over the first 2 weeks is a little overblown.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Panthers. In week 1, Panthers are not good. They did beat the Saints, but it's the first game in the new stadium there in Las Vegas, and those guys were going to get up for that game.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. Rob Sullivan says, in my main league, I have Julio, MT, Kittle, Mostert, and Coleman. Good times this week. Good times. Well, Coleman doesn't belong in the category of those other guys, but that does suck.
At least none of those injuries are for the whole year. That's the good news for that, I guess.
Yeah, true, right? It's not, Saquon and Sutton and some of these other guys we've lost for the year, but that does suck. Yeah, injuries have been brutal, and I've been fortunate, but I don't think they're going to end, right? A lot of people are blaming it on the off season and the lack of preparation, and I think I'm going to get hit at some point. Hopefully anybody is just on the side where they have most of their guys back by the playoffs. If you can hold out that long and make it.
Right.
Loud and clear, they say. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. Kareem Hunt or Mike Davis PPR?
Kareem Hunt.
I'm playing Kareem Hunt. Mike Davis, I think, will be fine in PPR. But Kareem Hunt gives you the opportunity for a big day, and I don't think you have that ceiling with Mike Davis. Hunt does have a little bit of a tough matchup. That Washington D looks to be pretty legit, especially compared to what people thought in week 1. But that front 7 in Washington's legit. But Kareem Hunt is probably going to get a decent amount of work out of the backfield because of check downs and whatnot against this pass rush. So that's one way to beat a pass rush, is to dump it off to your running back, and we know when Kareem gets in the open field, anything can happen. So I'm going there for sure. Are you willing to take any chances on the Jets wide receivers? I said this in chat, and we were talking DFS, but I mean, it goes to season-long rosters or starting lineups. I'm not taking a chance on any of these guys until I see them do something, right? We're talking Chris Hogan and Josh Malone probably starting at wide receiver, and I like Josh Malone early in his career, but he hasn't done anything yet. But this Jets offense hasn't been good with its starters, so why would we think that the backups would do well? And that's what really scares me off of any of those guys. What are your thoughts on the Jets?
Yeah, I agree. There's only one player on that whole team that I would want any part of, and that's only Jamison Crowder. So, and he's out. So,
yeah,
I don't want any Jet players.
I mean, I could definitely see you starting Chris Herndon if you've got him. But the problem is that he's had to block so much this year. He's not being utilized heavily in the passing game. Now, that could change at any time because they don't have any offense, and they're going to have to figure out a way to manufacture some. So, yeah, it's tough. I'm just staying away from the Jets right now. Running back's a mess. Wide receiver's a mess. Adam Gase needs fired. I mean, there's just not a lot else to say about that team.
I got to start shit. Would you Frank Gore or Demarcus Robinson?
Frank Gore or Demarcus Robinson? I'd rebuild.
Yeah,
is what I would do.
Well, it's my last. I got Michael Thomas and Mostert. I don't have much of an option.
I'm probably going Demarcus Robinson just for upside. But if you look at, and this is one of those ones where I would look at my opponent, and
I think I have the advantage. So
if you have the advantage, then I'm going Mike Davis just because he's getting touches equal points.
No, Frank Gore.
Frank Gore. Oh, Frank Gore. Oh, shit.
I said Frank Gore or
I was thinking Mike Davis
DeMarcus.
still, and oh man,
He did get a lot of touches. So if he can get just a couple catches, I feel like
You
I'll be
just
happy.
told
Like
me.
10 points.
You just told me he did get a lot of touches, and I believe I seen last night he scored 4.4 fantasy points last week. That's not good.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
That's not good.
No, it was not. No, it had to be more than that. He had 60 yards.
Did he lose a fumble or something? I was looking at DraftKings.
He might have.
I don't know, but probably Frank Gore just because of touches. But I mean, you never know if DeMarcus Robinson's going to catch a pass or not. Kenny Galladay.
Yeah, he's that guy that has 2 touchdowns.
Kenny Galladay or Deontay Johnson? This is actually a tough.
That's a good problem to have. That is a tough one. Man, since Kenny Galladay's coming off an injury, I am not too confident that he might have to shake off some rust. I'm going to go with the guy that's getting all these targets, and I'm going to go Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
For at least this week.
Jalen Juice, I believe if this is PPR, you go Deontay Johnson. We still don't know. Like, Kenny Galladay even said, like, I'm not 100%, but I'm going to try to play. So you just never know how that's going to work out. Normally, I would just start those guys. Like, if you would have said Kenny Galladay or, an average receiver, I would say Kenny Galladay. But Deontay Johnson's leading the NFL in targets. I do think that Deontay Johnson is better if Juju plays, and I know he had that questionable tag by his name. But I'm anticipating he plays, and I go Deontay Johnson and take those targets, and then see how Kenny Galladay looks going into next week. AJ looks awful. AJ. Oh, we were talking about AJ Green a little bit ago. Yep. John Brown or Anthony Miller. This one's super easy for me. John Brown and that rejuvenated Josh Allen offense, man. Dude's he's went over 300 yards passing the first 2 weeks of the season, and he didn't do it at all in his first 2 years. John Brown, to me, John Brown and Stephon Diggs are guys you plug into your lineup every week. John Brown was already the most consistent wide receiver in the league last year. Like, he didn't score a lot of points, but I don't think he scored less than 8 the entire season, which very few wide receivers can do. You've got a floor there. Now with Diggs there, you've got a serious ceiling for John Brown. Zach Moss is out, which opens up touchdown equity to all the other players, the Singletaries, the Diggs, the Browns, and I like that there. I'm starting John Brown every week where I've got him. You or Butker? I have 0 leagues with kickers. I have not a good answer for you on that one, Patel. Probably you, just because the Chargers may have a harder. He is the Chargers kicker, right? I'm thinking right here.
I don't pay attention to kickers at all. I could be honest.
It's tough. Basically, what I look at is I know Butker is Kansas City, and they have a better opportunity of putting it in the end zone, which actually takes away from your kicker. Buccaneers or 49ers defense. I don't have any leagues with defenses either. Patel's bringing all the hard questions.
I have a couple leagues with defenses, but I think you still should go. I'm trying to
think here of matchups. 49ers play
the Giants, and then the Buccaneers play the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm going Buccaneers.
I'm going 49ers. You going Buccaneers? I think I like the 49ers.
See, I don't care. I don't care if they give up points. What I want is a team that's going to drop back and pass. I want that to be the team that my defense is playing against, because you score points by sacks, interceptions, fumbles, all that kind of stuff, right? So Buccaneers put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Jeff Driscoll starting for the Broncos. He'll take shots down the field. So I'll take that pressure that the Buccaneers can put on and force Driscoll into some mistakes. Not that Daniel Jones can't, but when I look at the Broncos and I look at the Giants right now, I'll take that Giants offense for less turnovers than the Broncos. Um, Yeah, Galladay definitely has a juicy matchup if he plays and is healthy. But that's the hard part. Here's another good one: Kareem Hunt or Joshua Kelly.
That is a hard one. I think I'm still going to go Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I'm going Kareem Hunt too. That's a good problem to have. Kelly is getting a lot of touches, but I don't know, man. That is a tough one. I just
Kelly's got a great matchup this week too, but I just feel like Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I think Kareem Hunt's use in the passing game gets him there for me over Kelly. Uh, Especially with Eckler there. You never know when the week's going to be that Eckler, has 2/3 of the running back touches.
Very well could be this week.
And then if if Eckler falls into the end zone twice, then that means Kelly probably didn't find the end zone, and can make it tough if you're not getting a lot of receptions, which we know is Eckler's duty out of the backfield. Even though Kelly has not looked bad in that regard. Random question: should I start Cam Newton or Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, you got to start. You can't bench Patrick Mahomes.
Okay. I don't know what it just says Facebook user on my chat, so I don't know who that is.
It's got to be a 1 QB league, obviously.
What you need to do is trade one of those two and upgrade
100%.
your depth at another position. Somebody's going to overpay for one of those guys, and they have no value to you on your bench.
Yeah,
I would probably trade. I would trade Mahomes myself.
I would too.
But the Cam Newton hype after the first 2 weeks might be enough.
Yeah.
We've seen people being too reactive and overreactive to the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. Part of it is because of the injuries we have seen. Makes it a little harder not to, buy high or sell low, and you don't want to do that. But with all the injuries going around, it's been a little different than normal years. Deontay Johnson or Robbie Anderson?
Deontay Johnson still. I do like how Robbie Anderson's doing well though, but I still am going to go Deontay Johnson.
I do as well. I go with Deontay Johnson as well and take those targets. There are going to be games where Robbie Anderson only scores just 6 to 8, or maybe a 0.
The Panthers receivers too.
Yeah, it is. What was this? I'm trying to. Oh, Jason drops the super chat asking Burrow or Goff.
I think I'll go Burrow this week.
You think you're going Burrow this week?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, Goff's playing the Bills. I know, like, matchup's not. I don't know. I think the Bengals are going to be. I like Burrow this week. I like what I've seen from him so far. I would start him over Goff this week.
Here's my question, right? If that coaching staff went into the locker room after the last game and said, "Holy shit, we just put Burrow in danger 61 times, 61 plus times. He threw it 61 times, but he dropped back more than that." And said, "Holy shit, our offensive line sucks, and we just had him drop back 70 times."
And didn't even throw a pick.
Well, my thing is they might come back and say, we can't have him dropping back that much with this offensive line. But at the same time, Philly's run defense is really good, right? That's the one thing that is hard to do on Philly is run against them. Passing against them, you have success. But I go with Burrow too. I anticipate he'll probably drop back 50 plus times and give you an opportunity. But that being said, if you're playing DFS, the Eagles are one of the more popular defenses this week for a reason. If Cincinnati is going to drop back 61 times, there's going to be opportunity for fantasy points for the defense. Julian Edelman, Malcolm Brown, or Marvin Jones, PPR?
I'm going Julian Edelman.
Julian Edelman for me as well. That was from Sean Dean over there on YouTube. And again, thank you, Jason, for the super chat. Always appreciated. MVS, OBJ, or Tyler Boyd, PPR, pick one.
OBJ.
OBJ for sure. I would rank them OBJ, Tyler Boyd, then MVS.
I agree.
Have to sit Devontae. No wide receivers playing after him. Can't take the chance. Would you play Hawkinson, Pittman, or Kendrick Bourne?
Oof.
I like this matchup for Hawkinson, and I'm waiting on Pittman.
I was about to.
And I don't want to play Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, it sucks you don't have any Sunday night or Monday night receivers that you could possibly have the opportunity to start. But I think, yeah, I like Hawkinson over all the other guys.
Oh, I must have missed. I actually missed your question. If your feed cut out, I don't know if it came through. Somebody also asked Burrow or Watson.
I still think I would go. I think I'm going to go Burrow this week. I like his matchup more than most of the quarterbacks. Watson's going to be running for his life probably more than Burrow today. So I still think I'm going to go with Joe Burrow.
I'm not ready to do that yet, right? Burrow versus Goff. Goff isn't an alpha, right? I still think Deshaun Watson is an alpha. And matchup, disregarding matchup, I want to take the guy that's a better NFL quarterback at this point, and that's Watson. I'm playing Watson, so chat's going to have to help you out to break that tie. I understand the Pittsburgh matchup's tough, but, I learned a lesson last year. Drew Brees was going into a game versus San Francisco 49ers. So I decided to start somebody else over him. And then he threw like 97 touchdowns, scored 8 million points, and it ended up costing me league championship. So my good players I do not bench. Burrow's going to be good, but I'm just not there yet, especially versus Watson. So that's where I'm going there. McKinnon or Antonio Gibson for my flex?
I'm going McKinnon this week. I think he actually has a bigger role in the run game than people think, and he's the obvious back out of the backfield. I like McKinnon this week.
I mean, I'm going McKinnon as well. I think Jeffrey Wilson is probably going to handle most of the carries. I think he'll have the big side of the share. McKinnon is, I don't know if the 49ers want to give him a big workload because they've only been able to use him for 2 games in 3 years.
True.
So I'm not ready to anoint him a big workload, but I think he is the better player out of the two at this time. I think Antonio Gibson may be fine down the road, but I would go McKinnon as well. I need 2 of Kupp, Juju, DK, full PPR. I'm going DK for sure. He's in that juicy matchup. And then I'm going Cooper Kupp over Juju right now. I love Kupp's matchup. This is the Kupp breakout day.
You think so? So you think that Tre'Davious White's going to be on Woods the whole game?
Probably. And
that's what I thought too.
The Bills
were debating that on the Wednesday.
Yeah, the Bills get just eaten up across the middle of the field, right? They'll shut you down on the outside. They just get chewed up in the interior. I think Kupp's breakout game is right here. The running backs are banged up. Malcolm Brown looks like he'll be playing, but not but you just don't know what you're going to get there with his injury. I think Cup, especially this is another game that could shoot out, and if we're talking about
Right.
Cup in a shootout, and we were literally just talking about Watson being in a bad spot versus Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh does hold that Houston team and that game doesn't shoot out, then that hurts Juju. Plus, he's not even leading his team in targets right now. Cup probably isn't either. He's probably a couple behind Woods, but he's right there with Woods. I'm going DK's for sure for me. And then I'm pretty confident on Cup, but I could see you being more confident in the floor of Juju. But I'm going DK Cup myself. What are your thoughts?
See, I think Cup for sure, but I struggle with Metcalf or Juju. With Juju being a little banged up, I'm probably going to lean Metcalf, especially since he didn't practice. Juju didn't practice this week.
Did you see what DK did to your boy last weekend?
Yeah, it was good. Hey, it was actually decent coverage, but it was just a better catch. I told they were physical.
DK is a man. That boy.
He's a big guy.
Nobody can stop that dude. Nobody can guard that guy.
You got to have safety help over the top. I mean, Stephon Gilmore is not known for his speed, so it was interesting to see them one-on-one with Metcalf because he had him. If Russell Wilson he underthrew that ball a little bit. If he would have thrown it a little bit, if he would have overthrown it a little bit more, I think that Gilmore wouldn't even touch DK Metcalf. A little bit of an underthrow is the only thing that kept it from him even getting his hand on it. But like I said, it was just a better catch.
What makes him
that game was physical between them. It was a good
What
game.
makes him unguardable is the speed plus the physicality that he can throw with it. Because you normally get that big guy that doesn't have the speed, right? Like there's a lot of guys that aren't.
He's kind of like Julio.
Yeah, the dude's just oh man, he's one of my favorite players. But I'll say this, right? Last week I ordered 3 jerseys that are non-Bears. First jerseys that are non-Bears that I've ever ordered. I ordered a DK Metcalf, a Saquon Barkley, and a Jalen Reagor. Rest in peace to 2 of the 3. Hopefully DK makes it through week 3 healthy. Josh Jacobs today, question mark. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Do you see what Derrick Henry did to the Patriots in the playoffs last year? The Raiders are going to be in a similar situation where they're going to have to lean on the run game.
Rob Kane says he loves this show. We appreciate it, Rob. We love doing it. We're a little late today. I've had a lot going on this week. It's been a crazy one for me. But we're here and we appreciate you guys spending the time with us. We don't want to just answer your question. We want to give you the reasons behind why we like to do stuff, right? A lot of shows a lot of shows don't even answer start sit questions. They don't do it. We want to answer them with some knowledge behind them from all the studying that we do throughout the week, and no better time to answer start sit questions than Sunday morning. So we appreciate you being here. We appreciate it. Wilson Hensley says we need one for flex. Deshaun Jackson, Jerry Jeudy, Emmanuel Sanders, or Samples. Non-PPR.
Non-PPR.
Non-PPR. You're thinking about it, so I'll just go ahead and I'll say I'm starting Deshaun Jackson this week. He hasn't had that blow-up week, but he had 7 targets in week 1, 9 in week 2. There's only a matter of time before this dude just explodes for a big game. But he's got a floor with that now because he's getting the work, and with Reagor out, that just opens up more for him. Not a lot, but it's going to get spread out between him and the tight ends and I don't know, the hodgepodge of wide receivers that are starting behind Jackson. But I like Jackson a lot this week. I'm going with him out of those guys. Sanders is firmly off my list right now until we see him do some consistent work with the Saints. And
right.
Judy's just young, so I'll wait on that.
Yeah, I was debating between Jeudy and because they were definitely trying to get him involved when Sutton was. I mean, both games they were trying to get him involved, but I think you got to go Jackson, especially in standard league. he is built for that type of production where he might not get a lot of catches, but it could be 3 catches for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Deshaun Jackson is going to be my go-to, and he has a soft matchup against the Bengals.
Yep, that's where I'm at as well. Rob says Ingram or Fant full PPR.
I'm going to go with.
All right.
I would say Ingram, but go ahead.
No, I just, if you're going to take 8 years to answer, I was going to just jump in there, but you got it? Did you figure it out?
I think I'm going to go Ingram this week. I do like how Driscoll still went to Fant even when Locke came out, because I thought that connection was going to skyrocket Fant's value into elite tight end, which I think he's still going to be, but he's not quite there yet, where Ingram is actually one of the most consistent tight ends when healthy. So I'm still going to go with the stud in Ingram.
Yeah, I think they're both studs, and I'm going Fant with Sutton out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going Fant with Sutton out.
Okay.
We're talking, they're going to get KJ Hamler involved. We've seen 7 targets for him last week, which was nuts because I thought Hamler was going to be one of those project receivers, but he's been thrust in there and is going to have to get utilized. And then Jerry Judy's obviously seeing targets, but Fant's the touchdown guy. Fant's the guy that they trust right now and that they're going to go to. And it's kind of like, well, not that Ingram's not, but now that Slayton has emerged in New York, Ingram has been I don't want to say inconsistent, but he's just not utilized the same as he was before, and there's somebody else to go to. When he was the only guy to go to, then we like that a lot better for our tight ends when they're in a George Kittle situation where they are the guy. Ingram's just not the only guy anymore. Not that Fant is, but he is the only veteran guy, unless you're thinking Tim Patrick and Deshaun Hamilton are going to take opportunities away. But I'm going Fant. So we're
I think he'll struggle against the Buccaneers unless he works outside routes, because the Buccaneers middle linebackers are, in my opinion, the best in the NFL right now. So, and they're just as fast as him. So I just worry about him in the middle of the field not being able to get some separation.
Oh, we have some clarification. I must be way behind, so we might have to catch up here. We're getting a lot of talk in the chat about Young Ho Koo. He's Atlanta's kicker, and it was Young Ho Koo from Atlanta versus Butker of Kansas City. This is easily Young Ho Koo for me. Like I said,
his name?
No, Young Ho Koo is an awesome name. It is very cool, but Kansas City finds the end zone, and one thing we talked about this extensively in the Discord yesterday. Chicago doesn't give up touchdowns. Like they don't. They'll give up a bunch of yards and they'll put you in position to kick field goals and stuff, but they do not give up very many touchdowns. And I just I don't know. I want the kicker that's on the team that doesn't put it in the end zone as much, and I think that is going to be the Falcons this week. Trust Ryan against the Bears D or go with Big Ben? I go Big Ben. So a stat we seen yesterday, Chicago only gave up multiple touchdowns rushing or passing to the quarterback 5 times in the past 18 games. That's where you get your quarterback points at. He will put up yards, does have a decent floor, but I think you could get 3 touchdowns from a Big Ben this week. Against a Houston defense that's terrible, and I don't think you have that opportunity with Matt Ryan. Thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, Julio is, it's hard to bench Matt Ryan when he's got so many weapons in the pass game around him with Julio, Calvin Ridley, Hurst is getting his share in there. So, but Julio's a game time decision, and with that being said, he's going to be limited to an extent. He's not going to see as much volume as he usually does, and I just don't like the matchup when it comes to punching it in. Like you said, the Bears defense. You know the Bears defense better than anybody else that gets on the stream. So I'm going to take your word for it and say they don't give up touchdowns. So I'm going to go with Big Ben.
I actually didn't. I hadn't dug that deep, and then one of our our DFS chat, we go over a bunch of stuff on the Discord. I'll drop that link in the chat, but somebody asked me what do I think the chances were that Matt Ryan went over 300 yards plus had 3 touchdowns, and then I started digging into all the stats and everything, and the Bears just don't give up points to quarterbacks, and this goes back over the last couple seasons, not just last year. They've always been like bend but don't break defense. They'll give up yards and chunks. They don't let anything get behind them, so they don't give up many of the big breakout plays. But they just don't let people get in the end zone, even though they give up a decent amount of yards. MVS or Robbie Anderson? This is from Martin Torres, and thank you, Boostless, for your question about Big Ben and Matt Ryan. So Martin says MVS or Robbie Anderson. What do you think there?
I know the Panthers got a rough matchup this week, but I still am going to go Robbie Anderson. I just like what I watched the Panthers a lot. I got a lot of shares of some Bridgewater and did have Christian McCaffrey in a couple of leagues, but I also have some DJ Moore. And I'm wishing I had Robbie Anderson as well. So I'm gonna go with Robbie Anderson this week. Even though the matchup stuff, the Panthers are going to be throwing the ball for 4 quarters every single game.
Yep, I'm going Robbie Anderson as well. Need that to be in standard scoring. I think I know the answer, but DK Metcalf or Corey Davis?
Oh, DK Metcalf.
DK Metcalf for me as well. I'm sorry I can't see your name. It just shows me Facebook user. We are out on YouTube, 3 different Facebook groups and pages. So I apologize about that. God, straight in here with the Singletary, Mike Davis, Joshua Kelly question. We got to answer this one right because our eternity is on the line. His name is God.
Wow. What? you go first.
You go first. You make a bad decision before me.
Yeah.
Let me learn from your lessons. I'm going Singletary. With Moss out, I'm going Singletary. I like that. That Bills offense there's going to be touchdown potential. Singletary's probably going to have over 20 touches. I'm going Singletary. Mike Davis is firmly out of the question for me. Against those two, well, I don't know. Against Joshua Kelly, I could see it if Kelly's not getting all the PPR work. We saw Mike Davis catch 8 passes last week in part-time role. But yeah, I'm going Singletary fairly easily there. I like him a lot this week.
Yes, I agree. I was debating between Singletary or Kelly because Kelly's got a soft matchup against the Panthers defense, who's probably the 2nd or 3rd worst in the league. But he's not the only guy there where in Buffalo now Singletary is the main guy. So
yep.
Singletary.
Facebook says one QB league is PPR. Thanks for the answer. No problem. Rah over on YouTube says Amari Cooper, Julian Edelman, Marquise Brown, Juju. Non-PPR needs 2. I'm going Marquise Brown and Amari Cooper.
I agree. I think their yards and touchdown upside are too big.
That is a good problem to have, Rah. I'm probably looking to trade a guy or two, especially if you're shallow at another position. That's just a lot of talent to be sitting every week, especially with the rejuvenated Julian Edelman breaking his personal highs last week with Cam Newton. Evan Ingram or Emmanuel Sanders in the flex PPR. This is from Tuna Cat. I'm going Evan Ingram. Emmanuel Sanders is a sit for me until I see him do something with the Saints.
Yep, I agree completely. There's nothing else. I already talked about Evan Ingram, so same reason.
Hey, if you love the show and you want to show your appreciation, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and you'll be able to see every time that we go live. We do this every Sunday morning before lock. If you have start-sit questions, trade questions, DFS questions, drop them in the chat. We will answer those with the best of our knowledge. And we appreciate you being here. Blue Crew Chep says, PPR League, QB, Watson, or Breeze. Thank you.
Man, Breeze looks so bad right now, but I think you still got to go. I think you still got to go with Drew Brees. He's got the easy dump to Alvin Kamara, and hopefully he can still work the middle of the field. I'm sure maybe he's just shaking off some rust. I don't know, but I think you got to go with Brees this week.
I'm going Watson. I think we're going to be split on this. I understand it's versus the Steelers again, but Breeze has looked bad. He has looked old. Not that we just talked about this and, what he did against the 49ers last year, but Watson can do it with his legs, and that gives you a solid floor. I think he's going to be running a decent amount today. And I think this passing game is going to get going at some point, and it's probably not going to be like a super blow-up game today, but I think Watson's going to be fine, and he gives you somewhat of a ceiling. Breeze has been the check down king for like 4 or 5 years now. People don't realize it because he gets so many yards, but so many of them are off of, guys like Kamara and Michael Thomas having, 12 10-yard catches in a game. So it's volume induced and efficiency induced, and he doesn't take that many shots down the field anymore. But he hasn't even looked good on those intermediate and short passes this year, so we'll see how that goes. Midnight 21 says, which two to start? CEH, Hunt, Joshua Kelly.
CEH and Hunt for me.
CEH and Hunt for me as well. What are your thoughts on playing Chase Claypool anywhere? Injury bug has hit me hard. It depends on the other options for me. I'm not ready to throw Chase Claypool in there just because he had the big play last week. But if Juju sits, they do want to utilize Chase Claypool. I think that he's a fine option. Depending on the other options, I could see playing Claypool. But if I've got other good options with a floor, I'm going with them. Because right now I think Chase Claypool is a boomer bust play. Probably going to get better on that regard once he gets some more experience in the league.
Yeah, I agree. You need more context to kind of answer this question of who would you be starting him over. But I would not feel comfortable starting, especially if Juju sits. I wouldn't feel comfortable starting him in any of my lineups.
If Juju sits, you wouldn't?
I said unless Juju sits.
Oh, okay. I just heard you wrong.
If Juju sits, then I'd feel a little more comfortable. Still not super comfortable, but if the Juju's playing, I'm definitely not very comfortable having him in my lineup.
Odell or McKinnon, PPR?
Odell
for me as well. That's Trey over on YouTube. Odell or McKinnon. We both went with Odell. Steven Chambers over on YouTube says Marvin Jones or Jarvis Landry.
I'm going Jarvis Landry for him. I think that's Baker's go-to guy until I see otherwise. I expect Jarvis to have a good game here, and it might be even this week.
Yeah, it's hard for me to go against Landry, and I like Marvin Jones better when Galladay's on the field and 100%. So I'm going with Landry here as well. But if Galladay does come back, like he said this week, I'm not 100%, but if he comes back and he plays 100% of the snaps, takes the pressure off of Jones, Jones could have the better week. But I will go with the floor ceiling combination of Landry in that one. Man, I wish it showed me people's names on Facebook. Somebody asked Cooks at Pittsburgh or Harry versus Las Vegas.
Man, it's taken away my answer for the end of the stream. I'm going to go with Harry. I think today is a big day. Is a big day for him.
maybe I'm attacking this Pittsburgh defense too much, but I can't go Harry yet, right? I can't go Harry yet. I haven't seen enough, so I'm going with Cooks. But that could go very badly as well, which is why you're asking this question, because you understand that it could. But I'm going with Cooks right now. 0.5 PPR, he says. I missed that. It was added after. Oh, somebody recognized your jersey. Said, hell yeah, Bryce. LBH repping Lil Butthurt. It must be. It must be.
It's gotta be Joe.
It's gotta be Joe. He said repping Springfield with the Pats jersey. Sean Dean says Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, or Hayden Hurst.
They got a plethora of good.
You have too many tight ends,
tight
Sean.
there.
You have too
Yeah,
many.
you need to trade some of those for some value. But I absolutely love Jonnu Smith. I think he ends up being a top 8 tight end by the end of when it's all said and done. So I'm going to go Jonnu Smith.
I'm going Hunter Henry. He is the tried and true out of this bunch. He's got a rookie quarterback throwing it to him. We know them rookie quarterbacks like to lean on their tight ends and have that check down option. I'm going Hunter Henry. I'm sure the next person would say Hayden Hurst. You should.
They're all top 10 right now. So yeah, trade them while they're or not Hurst.
They're probably close. Hayden Hurst had a big week last week.
Top 10. Yeah, he's number 13 right now. The tight ends right now are scoring more than I've ever seen.
It's definitely
it's a good year for
definitely the deepest tight end has ever been, which makes it harder for Sean to trade because other people have good tight ends as well. Yeah. It was better when there were 6 tight ends that were, maybe a neck ahead of the rest, and then everybody else, because then you could get value out of those guys. When there's 75 freaking tight ends blowing up every week, it makes it a lot harder. Mo Alley Cox, Jordan Reed, and Drew Sample last week. Did you hear those names? Mo Alley Cox, Drew Sample, and Jordan Reed of having flashbacks there. Jim.
7 tight ends scored over 25 points last week. 7 of them.
It's crazy. Jim Quintana says Devin Singletary or Darren Waller, PPR in the flex.
I'm going to go with Devin Singletary. Darren Waller, I do think, has somewhat of a good matchup against the Patriots, against our secondary, but I just still think that we find a way. Bill Belichick always takes away the best player on the opposite team, especially when it comes to the receiving, whether it's a tight end or a receiver. So I think Darren Waller gets a lot of focus this week. So I think you got to go Devin Singletary.
Here's my problem with that whole thing. You talked about Belichick taking away the best player on the other team. Right now we've got Darren Waller, rookie Brian Edwards. You've got like the super off-brand Julian Edelman and Hunter Renfrow. Like, he's the great value brand at Walmart of Julian Edelman's. And then you've got I ruined my NFL chances in numerous different ways. Zay Jones, and I'm lucky if I catch COVID inside of a testing facility full of COVID positive people in Nelson Aguilar. So if Belichick's taking anybody away in this game, it's Waller, and then he's gonna make Jacobs run all over him and take his chances there. Gilmore could see more coverage on Waller than he does on wide receivers today. It wouldn't surprise me. Or they could bracket him and take him away, and then basically eliminate Brian Edwards because he's not ready for a Gilmore matchup.
No.
I'm going Singletary. This is a long way to get to. I'm taking Devin Singletary. The 20 touches he'll probably see in this matchup over a tight end that is a wide receiver, but unfortunately has no help getting pressure taken off of him at the moment. Has Fant proven that he should start over Ingram? I don't know that he's proven it. I think the usage with Sutton out, I think he's their alpha right now on their team, whereas Slayton is probably the go-to for the Giants. I don't think you're going wrong. Like, if you have Fant and Ingram, you're in that same spot. If you can only start one tight end, you should probably be moving one of them, and get some value out of them, because you get zero value if they're sitting on your bench. But yeah, I don't know that he's proven it, but Ingram, when he plays, is a top 3 talent, but
right.
This offense has no offensive line. They have no Saquon now. They are just inconsistent when it comes to that. I think Fant's going to be more consistent, where Ingram might have the higher ceiling. Fant it is then. Thanks, guy. No problem, Jose. DJ Moore, OBJ.
OBJ.
I am reluctantly going OBJ. I think they're really, really close. I think those two are really, really close this week.
I agree, but it's the matchup. I know you say you don't go for matchup a lot of times, but the Chargers secondary is the best in the NFL, so I got to go with OBJ just based on that. If they were playing the same team in theory, I would go DJ Moore.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, and part of it is, like I said, I go team matchups, right? That's a lot different than a one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about a 1v1, like
right.
An alpha wide receiver can beat an alpha cornerback. It's just
right.
as likely for that to happen as the cornerback to shut them down, right? So that's one thing. But when you're talking about a full team defense that's good, that means that alpha cornerback is also getting help from over the top from an alpha safety in that with the secondary. Washington doesn't have that alpha secondary that the Chargers have. They both have front sevens that can put pressure on you. So I agree. I'm going OBJ, but it's so close, and that's obviously why Jose is asking us which one.
Right.
God says he appreciates it. So right now, I think we're in his good graces. Did we pick the same player on that, or are we rooting for one of us to go to hell?
Yeah,
we picked the same one.
Okay. We both went with Devin Singletary.
Malcolm Brown or Darrell Henderson?
I haven't even looked at this at all.
Malcolm Brown's back at practice, and Malcolm Brown's going to get the touches if he's healthy. That's the big question with it, is if he's full go or if he's limited. And we should hear more here in the next hour on Malcolm. Wait, no, they play later, don't they? Or no, they play early.
They play.
We should hear about that in the next hour. Right now, I would play Malcolm Brown over the two. He's going to be the guy that leads that backfield with with Cam Akers out. So that's where I would go. I mean, if you need the big boom player, I guess you can go Darrell Henderson. But I'm only doing that like if I feel like my matchup is way lopsided on the other side.
I'll take your word for it. I haven't looked into. I don't own any part of that backfield in any of my leagues, so I would have had to look into that. So I'll take your word for it, Malcolm Brown.
Do we play Julio if he starts, or are we concerned enough about his injury to bench him for someone else who is probably a wide receiver too? Again, I would need to know like specifics on the player. Julio has a long history of being injured and then exploding. And last week you got a 4.4 or whatever it was, and it wasn't good, and you hate that. But if Julio plays, I'm not sitting him in most cases, unless you just happen to have a really good wide receiver to replace. But you probably don't. Juju is playing. He already said that himself on his Instagram. Okay. I'll definitely believe that when. I'll definitely believe Instagram. So I believe he's playing. Like I never really thought he was out, but that's better for Deontay Johnson. I think is that Juju's in for sure.
It's not good for Clay Shape. For Claypool.
Claypool. I mean, they can handle. They can have 3 receivers. Like they can do that.
Right.
But Claypool's still playing his 3rd NFL game. I want to see it for a little bit longer before I'm comfortable putting him in there for sure. Paul says Dynasty, Darrell Henderson and N'Keal Harry or Chris Carson. I could see making this trade because it's really just N'Keal Harry for Chris Carson in most cases because Darrell Henderson's going to be – he needs injuries for him to have any value at all, right? So it's Harry versus Carson. I can see doing that trade if you need a running back and you're in contention. But in most cases, I would try to keep Harry if I can. If I'm decent at running back, I would try to keep Harry. But I think that is a 50-50. Depends on your situation. I don't think it's terrible. But I would lean the wide receiver side if possible. Chris Carson, I think, is going to be very good this year. But I don't know how many years he's got left after this year. Of fantasy relevance,
right?
And you're the Patriots guy.
Yeah, they're in. I love N'Keal Harry. I think they're getting him a lot. This is what I was hoping he would kind of do last year, but injuries obviously set him back, and he's definitely the second guy there behind Edelman, and rightfully so. Edelman's always been consistent his whole career, it seems like, and I just like what I see from N'Keal Harry. I like how Cam was spreading it out. The Patriots wide receivers right now aren't looking, too bad to own a lot of them, especially like Damiere Byrd was showing some promise this last week, and N'Keal Harry looks good. I like him. I think his future is very bright, so I'd stick with N'Keal Harry.
Yeah, I think it was crazy this year, and we talked about it a lot in the off season. Is how do people draft Harry? Like number 2, number 3 overall last year. He's injured most of his rookie year. He gets the perfect quarterback in the offseason for what he excels at. And then for some reason now he's, a late 2nd round value. He was a guy that I tried getting in a lot of spots this offseason. Unfortunately, a lot of the people that are in my leagues also listen to all the podcasts. And watch the shows, so it's a lot harder to get that stuff by. But I got a couple pieces, and I'm ecstatic. I think that I didn't like him at his price in the draft last year. I thought DK Metcalf was my number 1 guy in that class. I thought A.J. Brown was a better overall player, and people were devaluing him based on landing spot, which turned out to be really dumb because A.J. Brown exploded and his value went way up. But yeah, I like Harry a lot, and I would try to keep him if possible. But I understand taking that running back that's heavily used in an offense that's going to score a lot. If you're a contender for sure. Michael Gallup at Seattle or Tyler Boyd at Philly?
I like Michael Gallup this week. I think this might be his breakout week.
This is ceiling versus floor for me, right? Like Tyler Boyd has a 20 point plus upside, but we know we're probably going to get 10 to 12 points out of him. Gallup obviously could be less, but he could also, this could be the week that Gallup goes, 6 for 180 and 2 touchdowns and just it completely explodes. So I think you got to look at that, look at your matchup. They're both fine plays. People are down on Gallup right now, but he's going to be fine, I think, in this offense. And this game, they're going to have to throw a lot again. So I take Gallup for upside if I feel like I'm outmatched a little bit. I take Tyler Boyd if I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on my matchup, and just take that floor so I don't get that 0. Ben Katz says, Diggs or Cup, 1 point PPR?
Cup.
Diggs. Diggs is now the alpha he was supposed to be in Minnesota.
Hey, I projected that.
So
but
did
I.
I.
Like Cooper
I
Kupp
said
more than him.
this offseason, and I said it last year with John Brown, right? Everybody's writing John Brown off.
Yeah.
And I said John Brown is the perfect receiver for Josh Allen. Josh Allen loves throwing that deep ball. Diggs is as good as anybody at getting open. Diggs right now, by the time this season's over, could very well be a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy scoring, and I think there's very few guys you're sitting him for. The fact that you're talking about him or Kupp, like, I want to know who your other receivers are, because you seem to have a very good wide receiver core. Diggs is a must start for me until proven otherwise in Buffalo. So, chat, we need you, right? Ben needs you to break that tie. Diggs or Kupp, PPR.
You said this is Kupp's breakout day.
Yeah, but Diggs already had 2 breakout days, and Diggs is going to get.
Yeah, I do love
Diggs
Diggs.
is going to get 10+ targets.
Hey, I traded a late first last year, like near the end of the year for him, and I am very happy with that return.
People were mad because we have a lot of Vikings fans on the RotoHeat team, and they were mad about the way he acted in Minnesota. This boy just wanted to ball out. That's all. He gets out of there.
I mean, I'd be pretty mad too if I saw 40 less targets than I did the year before, or whatever he did. His targets almost got cut in half.
And
so, he wasn't acting a full
look
in.
how much there are wide receivers, right, that make the quarterback better, whether they're putting up big numbers or not, right? Deshaun Jackson, his quarterbacks have always had a higher QB rating with him than without him. Like, he's just one of those guys that changes the defense. Diggs is that guy. He's that type of guy. And we're seeing, look at Kirk Cousins playing without Diggs. Look at the improvement we're seeing Josh Allen with Diggs. And obviously Josh Allen's still young and he's making improvements anyway. But I don't think there's zero correlation there with those happenings that are going on with Cousins and with Josh Allen and the subtraction and addition of Diggs. Diggs is probably right now in the top 6 for me, guys that I'm playing each and every week no matter what. Hilton, Fournette, or Corey Davis, non-PPR. Fournette. I'm just going to say it. People are going to say, we don't know if he's got the job yet. He is the guy in Tampa Bay now.
He's got the job.
Bruce Arians and Brady were looking for a reason to put Ronald Jones on the bench. He fumbled once, which may have been Tom Brady's fault to begin with, after I seen that. And
no, did you see his hands? His hands were all like he was trying to get the ball. Like, how do you fit a football?
Yeah, I don't know. You know me, I'm not one to stick up for Ronald Jones. But they were looking for a reason, and as soon as he fumbled that ball, I think it was 15-2 on touches the rest of the game or something like that. I don't know. It was crazy. Yeah. And Fournette is just clearly the better running back. Like, there's no debate. All you Ronald Jones truthers can, scream all you want. But Ronald Jones is not near the talent that Leonard Fournette is. And Fournette exploded last week. And Ronald Jones, rest in peace. Pour one out for my homies.
He can finally be.
Dude, it's so funny. It's so funny because on this show last week, what did I say? I said Ronald Jones is going to score a touchdown and everybody's going to start running their mouth about how good Ronald Jones looks against the Panthers, who have given up multiple touchdowns to the running back, 8 straight games or something. And I told you it was going to happen. And it happened, and no longer than 3 minutes later, he fumbled the ball and lost his job.
Yeah, I remember I said that somebody posted Andrew DeFord. I give him credit for how much support he has.
He sticks to it, but Ronald Jones should pay him to be his PR person. Him and Michael Altman, they should pay.
I was on my phone and I read that post. I'm like, oh my gosh! I look up and Ronald Jones fumbles the ball, and I'm like, oh.
I give it to you though. I like people. You have to have conviction, right? You can't just keep changing who you like and who you don't because of this or that, right? You have to have conviction in it, but at some point you have to realize this person's just not good. Just not.
Yeah, and I'm starting to realize that on Sony Michel, I'm just worried that he just doesn't look that great running the ball like he did in college or even his rookie year. I don't know what it is.
His rookie year, he scored negative fantasy points, so he didn't look good.
Rookie year too.
Ronald Jones?
No, I'm talking about Sony. I'm a Sony.
Got you.
There's a lot of us too, and at this point, I'm starting to just throw away the love for him. I think that I just don't know if he's going to be what I thought he would be.
Okay, guys, we have some news. First off, Darrington Evans, one of my draft darlings of this offseason, is making his debut for the Titans. Julio Jones is inactive. Julio Jones is inactive versus the Bears today. We were talking about that Falcons touchdown upside. That's gone. That hurts with Julio out. They already didn't have a lot. So Julio Jones is out.
Ouch.
Okay, Master Samurai over on YouTube says, Marquise Brown, Terry McLaurin, Kenny Galladay, pick 2, please.
Marquise Brown, 100%, and like we've already talked about, if Kenny Galladay is not 100%, I'm still going to go with Terry McLaurin. He's been consistent so far the first 2 weeks. He was pretty consistent last year, so I'm going to go with those two. Yeah,
I'm going Marquise Brown and Terry McLaurin here. I want to see Galladay at 100%. I don't want decoy Galladay like we had decoy Julio Jones last week.
Right.
So I'll take those two. Is Galladay in? Is that official? Because he hasn't been official yet. Kupp, DJ Moore, or Russell Gage. Russell Gage is not in for me when it comes to those other two. And I'm going Kupp for the same reasons that I talked about. I'm just not taking Kupp over Diggs because Diggs is legit now that now that he is being used like he should be used. So you agreed with that?
Yeah, Kupp. It's a good problem to have. Sitting DJ Moore hurt. It would be rough to do.
It would be tough.
Sure,
yeah, it's definitely tough. Tom says, if Fournette doesn't have the job, then Arians is a bigger joke than Ronald Jones is. That is true.
Agreed. Right, there's no way that Fournette's going to come out as a starter.
Paul answered our Kenny Galladay question with he is in, but a snap count is likely. So, yeah, I would wait a week. I know you want to use those Kenny Galladay shares because Kenny Galladay is a monster when he's on the field with Stafford, but I don't want that snap count shit. I'm waiting 1 week for that. Master Samurai, no problem, bud. Again, we appreciate everybody being here. You guys are awesome. We love the questions. We're still answering them for a little bit here. If you have questions, get them in the chat. Start, sit, trade, DFS. If you have any DFS questions, you can drop those. Somebody else said expected to play for Galladay. Yeah, I thought he was going to play, but that limited stuff really pisses me off. I'd rather them just sit, right? Because Julio Jones cost me quite a bit of money last week. But that's just my personal anger. Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette, or Jarvis Landry. Also, drop James White to stream a defense or pray for the best with Baltimore. Thanks, fellas. I am going to go. Melvin Gordon has a shitty matchup, but they funnel into the running backs for pass. So, I mean, he's not a terrible start.
I'm going Leonard for that.
I want to, but, I'm not as convinced that he's going to get the full workload as Melvin Gordon for this week. But, yeah. I have to think on that, but I'm not dropping James White for a defense. I will say that. James White only didn't play because of a family issue last week, and he may come back with a vendetta when he comes back. So I would just roll with Baltimore. Listen, guys, defense, for those of you that are in leagues with defense, team defenses, they're such a crapshoot, right? Like, we don't know who's going to have that fluke fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Right.
You know, we're looking for teams. The thing with Baltimore's defense is it doesn't matter how good the offense is on the other side. They force the other team to throw the ball a lot. They force the team to move the ball down the field, which gives them opportunities for sacks and interceptions and obviously defensive touchdowns. So, you know, I just roll with them. I keep James White. If you have somebody else you can drop, maybe. I'm not dropping James White at this point. And All-Star. All-Star. Fuck. I'll reluctantly go Melvin Gordon here. I feel like they're going to have to pass to the running back in this game. He's the only one. And those PPR points are valuable. I'll go Melvin Gordon in that spot, even though I don't love it. I got Hurst, but couldn't get Hawkinson or Reed. Still with Hurst.
You think he has Hawkinson or Reed?
I mean, I could get Hurst.
They're on the waiver, is what he's saying.
Okay. Out of those guys, we haven't heard if Kittle's out yet, right?
He is out.
He is out.
Kittle is out.
He is out. Okay.
He's out.
I would start Reed this week if I could. They just don't have any other offensive options, right? We're talking about McKinnon and Jeffrey Wilson at running back and Kendrick Bourne being their lead wide receiver. I'm starting Jordan Reed if I can get him. That was for Master Samurai. Math Quest, welcome to the show. Another loyal watcher of the Roto Heat stuff. Appreciate you being here. Ryan or Stafford? Standard scoring, non-PPR. Stafford.
Yeah, with Julio out, I'm going to go Stafford.
And that matchup. That Arizona-Detroit game is one that could shoot out here today. Stafford's going to have to sling it to keep up with the Arizona offense.
I think Arizona still wins by a score or two, but it could be a high-scoring score or two.
And it just that's good for Stafford because that means he's slinging it.
Right.
And that's what we want.
I agreed.
Any confidence in playing Anthony Miller? In this game, I would have felt a lot more comfortable with Jones going. But that Atlanta offense can still put up points. The Bears are going to have to throw the ball. And that means they are going to be running more 3 wide receiver sets than they have in the first 2 weeks. Because this Atlanta offense is better. I wouldn't say I'm 100% confident with it because we know that both Miller and Trubisky have been inconsistent. But if you need a ceiling option, I would throw Anthony Miller in with not full confidence, but you know the ceiling plays there. Last week he missed he dropped 2 balls that would have been a 13 to 15 point day, even though he's not playing the snaps. He's getting high value targets when he gets them. So, Trey, did we miss your question? Oh no, we got to that one. We're a little bit behind, guys. So be patient. We will get to your question. Mixon or Jonathan Taylor?
Jonathan Taylor.
Good
problem to have, though.
Good problem to have. Mixon's going to be fine. For those that are freaking out about Mixon so far, just realize that he's better through 2 games this year than he was through 2 games last year. Last year, what did I posted it in our chat the other day. I think he had 22 carries for 27 yards in the first 2 games last year.
Yeah.
He's on a better pace than he was on last year. That's the positive here. But Taylor's got a juicy matchup, and Colts should be ahead, and he's going to get all the touches. This is probably not a game that you want to play Nyheim Hines, because Nyheim Hines, when the Colts are leading, he's not a guy you want in your lineup. I have Hurst, but can get Hawkinson or Reed. Yeah, I would start Reed myself this week, but I wouldn't drop Hurst for Reed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, actually,
that's
now
a close one. Too.
you know, Julio out, that helps Hurst as well. So
Yeah.
you know, yeah, that's too many options at tight end.
I have a lot of Hurst shares, and then the shares that I'm benching them, I have Noah Fant. So I have no problem starting either one. Obviously, I'm pretty set at tight end in a lot of my leagues, but I like Hurst this week, so I feel comfortable starting him every week.
Friendly Fire or Facebook. Sorry, I'll go to Facebook one first. It's either play Decoy Kenny or Anthony Miller for me in 96. Kenny's probably still going to get some looks even if he's decoy.
Yeah.
So he's got a floor where Anthony Miller's floor is 0. But Anthony Miller's probably got the higher ceiling right now with Kenny on a snap limit. So that's just the choice. It's a shitty choice to make. Kenny is the easy answer if he's healthy. But obviously that's not where we're at. He did finish that sentence off with 2020 sucks, which is not wrong. Dion Lewis or Noah Fant. It's 0.5 per carry. I'm torn on this one. I'm going to make this easy for you. Saquon Barkley had rushed, what was it, 20 or 19 times for 27 yards in 6 quarters. I do not want to start any Giants running backs. I just got a notification Devonta Freeman is active. I'm assuming Wayne Gallman's active and Dion Lewis is active. I do not want to figure this backfield out. They have a terrible offensive line. If Barkley can only muster up 19 carries for 27 yards, what is this group going to do? They might catch some receptions. I don't want it. I'm going Noah Fant.
I agree. I don't want any piece of that backfield.
Yeah, I tweeted out, I'm ignoring Devonta Freeman like it's a text from my ex. Like, I want nothing to do with it. Should I start David Montgomery or Devin Singletary? I think this one's 50-50, and you're flipping a coin.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is that the Atlanta defense is horrid. And we just saw Dak Prescott run for 3 touchdowns versus them. Dak Prescott. Well, yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is that the touchdown upside is there for Montgomery to have multiple touchdowns today.
Mm-hmm.
Not that Devin Singletary doesn't have that, but right now it's Allen Robinson and David Montgomery for Chicago on offense. Devin Singletary's got John Brown and Diggs and Josh Allen to worry about. And that's even missing Zach Moss. So I probably lean slightly David Montgomery. So I'm me and another guy on the team are putting together a real solid running back chart to show the consistency, the explosiveness, the types of plays that our running backs are getting. We're tracking every carry for every running back in the NFL. If you give me 1 second, I'll pull that up. But David Montgomery's excelled in a lot of areas so far this year. So yeah, I'm leaning Montgomery. But this is one of those ones that's 50-50 on who scores the most points, I think. That was for Rory. Rory's Mindset over there on YouTube. We appreciate you being here. Yes, we did answer Burrow Watson. I went Watson. Bryce went Burrow. You can ask the chat if they'll break that tie. Yeah, Friendly Fire says Zach Moss is out. That's a tough call. Yeah, I agree. That's a 50-50 one for me, but I will lean slightly in Montgomery's favor. And the other thing, Montgomery has actually been targeted 2 times as much as Cohen early on. Cohen may be getting phased out more than people anticipated. Should I start Singletary or Russell Gage at my flex?
Singletary for me.
Singletary for me as well. Trey says, one more for you guys. Full PPR. Gurley, Singletary, Deontay Johnson. Who do you got?
full PPR, I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson.
I'm starting Deontay Johnson there. I do think it's closer. Thomas answered that in the chat with quite easily Deontay. I don't think it's quite easily because I think the touchdown upside sits with Singletary on this one. And he's probably going to have 20-plus touches. But I think the floor with Deontay is pretty solid. So I'll go Deontay, but I would not blame anybody for doing Singletary. Friendly Fire said, that's what I wanted to hear. You are right. I don't remember which one that was, but David Montgomery question. David Montgomery Singletary. Hey, reminder, if you wanna show us a little bit of love for the show, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, notification bell. We are going to be getting out of here. Going to watch the football with some buddies of mine. But if you have any questions, we got a couple more minutes here. I am going to pull up that. I wanted to share those stats with you. This is going to be available on RotoHeat.com. Probably get week 3's info in there and then get it posted. But give me 1 second here and I'll pop that up because I think there's a lot of stuff with running backs when we look at how often are they getting stuffed behind the line of scrimmage, and then we look at their offensive line, obviously, because Saquon getting stuffed is different than Ronald Jones getting stuffed, right? Not all stuff's created equally. We'll just say that. But
right.
But when you see guys getting stuffed and then like teammates, like last year, San Francisco was a great example of this. Raheem Mostert was like the best in the league. He just never got stuffed for less than 0 yards. Like it just didn't happen. But Breda and Coleman were like two of the worst 5 in the league. So it's like, what's going on here, right? Are these guys really that bad? Is the offensive line that bad, or is this guy really that good? But you see a lot of different trends that happen over the course of the year that let you know, especially for Dynasty and I think DFS. It's weird because it's long term and short term, but in DFS it gives us an idea of who has the best chance to break a play, and then in Dynasty it tells us like who can actually keep their job, right? Because if somebody's hurting their team a lot, they're not going to keep the job. See Ronald Jones. I love throwing that out there. I love it. So, for example, early this year, through 2 weeks, Jordan Howard he's on pace for like 16 touchdowns, but like fucking 70 yards on the season because he's got 13 carries for 11 yards. He's not even averaging a yard per carry.
That's terrible.
But if we flip that and we look at the other side, right? Oh, so here, I was talking about Barkley, right? So Barkley's 19 for 34. Deion Lewis, 11 for 21. They both averaged under 2 yards per carry. Just gross, right? We don't want any of that. Zach Moss.
Yeah, in the game before Barkley got hurt, 4 carries for 28 yards. So 28 of his yards came on that game he got hurt. That's how bad week 1 was.
Zach Moss. I didn't realize he was doing this bad. 17 carries for 48 yards. But anyways, we flip it around. We look at this other side, right? Aaron Jones and Kareem Hunt on guys that have more than 20 carries are just blowing everything away. Averaging almost 7 yards per carry each. They don't get stuffed behind the line of scrimmage. It's so much easier when I show this stuff to you guys when we get it on the website, but yeah, there's a good amount of people that are averaging over 5 yards per carry. But then I think the juicy spot of this is we like break it down for one carries that are 1 to 4 yards, carries that are 5 to 9, 10 to 15, etc., etc. And it gives you an idea, right? Like the guys that excelled in that 5 to 9 range are guys that are going to keep their job for a long time. Ezekiel Elliott is not a big play running back, right? Like he has opportunity to get you 3 touchdowns in a game, but he's not going to break off very many 20-yarders. Like that's just not what he does. He just consistently gets you those yards.
7, 8, 6.
Yep. And but anyways, I can't wait to get this out to you guys. I think it's a nice little tool to have. I look at it a lot. And I think it shows you the real short term what they can do, and then the long term viability of them being a starting NFL running back and getting carries. Josh Jacobs, Joshua Kelly, or Kareem Hunt, pick 2. Josh Jacobs automatically, right?
100%.
Not sitting Josh Jacobs ever. After that, we both answered the Kareem Hunt versus Josh Kelly question earlier in the show, so I believe we're both going with Kareem Hunt here.
Correct.
These are both backup running backs, right? But
Right.
Kareem Hunt can do a lot more in the passing game. I like that he's the passing backup. Unless this is standard, then I could see you going with Joshua Kelly because he might get you 18 carries versus Kareem Hunt's 8, 10. So that's where I would be. Thank you, Justin, for the question. Zach Moss has basically been Sony Michel, except he has 3 catches and 9 more yards. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Everybody's been talking this dude up, and I don't have any Zach Moss, right? We've been making the joke all off season about, apparently Zach Moss is still trying to get to the season. He's that slow. He's not quite here yet. Sorry, Anthony Leone. I know you love him. But I didn't realize that. Any last minute questions? It's 12 o'clock. I got to get all my lineups done. Any last second questions? Do you have anything to add, Bryce?
No, we're gonna do our sneaky player for the. The one player.
I didn't even pick my lock of the week yet today. But yeah, let's do this. Who's your sneaky player of the week?
Do you remember my last week's one?
No, I don't. Who was it?
I picked CD Lamb. Ended up being a pretty good one.
I didn't think that was sneaky though. How sneaky are we getting?
I feel like it was kind of. You said a guy that's like not as obvious, like some guy that's an obvious start in a lot of lineups, and I feel like he's not. You didn't draft CD Lamb for him to be an automatic starter in your lineup, especially if you're doing redraft, maybe dynasty. But this week, I don't know if you consider it sneaky, but I bet he's on a lot of people's bench, especially in redraft leagues. I think N'Keal Harry has a big day.
He's not sneaky after last week, but it's all right. Now I know how I don't have to go super deep here, because I was gonna go KJ Hamler, but that's like a deep one. I'll go with KJ Hamler anyway.
Yeah.
I'll go with KJ Hamler anyway.
Right, you know what? I'll go with something else. I'll go with Demir Bird then. If we're gonna go with sneaky.
They both had big weeks last week.
Well, Demir Bird put a goose egg up week 1 though.
Yeah, but he's got a history.
He's
got a history with Cam Newton. No, that's fine. Just go ahead and pick your hometown team players and roll with it.
I think
I think KJ Hamler is definitely a guy that we didn't think we were going to get a lot from early. Thought he was more of a project, panhands, dropped a lot of passes in college, but the dude can fly. Denver loves him. I mean, this dude last week was his first game, got 7 targets. It's him and Jerry Jeudy at wide receiver. I think they're going to manufacture ways to get Hamler the ball, similar to what Las Vegas. I stopped myself, said, Las Vegas. What they're trying to do with Ruggs when he's healthy. So KJ Hamler is my sneaky play of the week here. He is going to be highly owned in DFS. Not highly owned, but owned enough. But 7 targets in his first game, I like it. David Johnson or Josh Kelly? The receptions for
I feel like
Johnson
David
make this tough.
I think Johnson's going to do absolutely nothing in the run game. And I think I'm going to go with I think I'll go with Josh Kelly.
I'm going Josh Kelly as well. That matchup versus Panthers is too juicy.
Yeah.
David Johnson, who knows? Okay, so here's a question. Is Duke Johnson playing? He's back, right? That hurts the passing game work for David Johnson. Not that he won't get any, but I'd rather him be the only one alive. So,
right.
All right, that is going to be it. I just screamed in the mic and seen it peak, so I apologize. I was quiet to start. I'm loud to end. That's how the confidence has changed. Oh, we got one last one. This will be the last question. CEH, Drake, Taylor, Mixon, pick 3.
Jonathan Taylor, CEH, and Drake.
CH, Drake, Taylor. That's what I'm going with. Mixon's a sit right now. This is Drake's breakout week. I'm telling you right now. Duke is out? Oh, Duke is out. Yeah, that is
Oh yeah, so they're here. Yep, he's out.
Duke is out. I probably go David Johnson. I don't like the matchup running, but
Field Yates on Twitter just said that he was active 27 minutes ago, and I see another source saying he's out an hour ago. So I'm kind of confused. Oh, now it's 32 minutes ago. Another guy is saying he's out, so he must be out. That's weird.
David Johnson going to be getting all the work. I probably go with him. He might catch 10 balls trying to save Watson's life today.
Possible.
Yeah, Shara, CH, Drake, Taylor, we both agreed on that. Love Mixon, but with those other 3, you're in a good spot. I just dropped the Discord link in the chat for everybody. It's a great source to have. We're going to get out of here. Love to see you guys every Sunday morning. Tuesday night, the Heat Seekers will be back. 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, the Fantasy Inferno with Bryce featured on that at 9:30 Eastern. And working on getting some more DFS content out. Maybe a live stream on Friday night or something with just myself. But we appreciate it. We appreciate everybody being here. And we will see you next Sunday after you get some more W's this week. Just don't eat them like Jameis Winston, because then you end up a backup the following season.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Bryce. Thank you, buddy.
No problem. Thanks.
Don't forget, make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any more fantasy football content from the RotoHeat.com team. Also, right there, playlist. Hit it. Watch the videos.